So, Marnie, let me ask you a question. How did you get your voice in this area? Because, we're at a time now where, people are sometimes afraid to talk about things. And, what I've sort of recognized, and I love leaders like yourself that come on to do this because it is brave. It's when you get uncomfortable is when we learn, when we talk about our experiences, where we made mistakes, where we got it right, and sharing that just makes us better and more connected, as we talked about. But how did you really get your voice in this area?
So, I mean, my voice has definitely gotten stronger as I've gone through my career and progressed. I think I've always been in situations where I was generally the only or one of a handful of girls or women in the room. When I was young, I was very good at math. And where I think a lot of girls may not get the support or attention, as I mentioned before, I had two teachers in K through 12 who noticed something and encouraged me. And that really made a difference. I had no idea what I really wanted to do coming out of college, but the encouragement I got was, you're really good at math. Go do math and it will open up all sorts of doors for you. Because I don't
Mhm.
think I would have thought of doing that before. And so to get that encouragement means a lot to me. I've had amazing mentors and coaches and advocates, both women and men. And I think that's one of the things that's really important for everybody. And so having had that experience and having had some amazing advocates in my career, I try to do that for other people. And I try to get other people to do the same thing, right? When I'm in a room and I notice somebody's being talked over, right? Asking them for their input and making a point of saying, let's make sure everybody gets an opportunity to speak. Those are, like you said, it can be a little uncomfortable to speak up, but I think it's important. I think it's gotten a lot more acceptable and encouraged to do so. So speaking up during, performance review discussions or even in any other meeting and saying, hey, you might have just dismissed somebody that maybe you shouldn't be dismissive of. Let's make sure we listen. Or talking to somebody, after a meeting and saying, hey, I just noticed this. You might not be aware that that happened. So, can you just keep an eye on that going forward? I find that most people are accepting of that. I also think that this younger generation that's coming into the workforce now is far more aware and far more interested in making sure that that equity and inclusion is there in the workforce, and they demand it. And I think that's great because I think that they can add a lot to our voices.
No, I couldn't agree more. And one of the things, Marnie, the way that I kind of stay connected is to mentor this up and coming, and this group of and I have a list of things that I want to go through, with them that I have planned, and I get there and they're excited to talk to me about what they heard on the news and what my opinion is. And right. And, they have all of these things that they just want to know and learn and kind of enrich their brains before I got to well, let's talk about your branding and your, and all that kind of stuff. But I agree. I have a lot of respect. I don't think they get enough credit, but I have a lot of respect for the up and coming generation called young professionals now. You'll see in a lot of ERG groups that are forming, they're calling themselves young professionals. So I would just say, as we sort of think about, this conversation, what are one or two things that you would share with others, about how they can create more impact around this diversity, equity, and inclusion in cybersecurity specifically?
So mentoring is one of the things on my list. Giving back to the community. There are a lot of organizations that provide ways to mentor specifically underrepresented groups who, again, could include people who want to get into cybersecurity, but maybe haven't had a chance to get their degree yet, or, young women and men of color who are just trying to make their way, bring something different. So finding those ways to go and mentor, putting yourself out there as a role model goes a long way. And I think I want to say to those who think they might not be ready to mentor, if you have been doing this job for more than 2 minutes, you already know something more than somebody else does.
That's right on.
You have something to offer, and you should do that. Advocate and champion for other people. Like I said, making sure whether it's in the meetings, whether they're in the meeting or not, making sure that you're advocating and championing for them. For leaders in cybersecurity, you can hire a more diverse set of employees. They do exist. I have heard a couple times over the course of the last year, well, I'd really like to hire women in cybersecurity, but these roles have to have people who have more than 10 years of experience, and there just aren't that many women out there. I will tell you that's not only wrong. I can list about a couple hundred women that I know personally who have way more than 10 years of experience. And there are more than that out there. So it's not a matter of the people aren't there. It's a matter of looking for them and taking the time. I think hiring managers often just assume that the recruiters are going to go get the diverse candidate slate for them. You can't do it that way. I spend a lot of time with my recruiters talking about not just what the skill set looks like, but then also how can we make sure we've got a diverse set of applicants? Can we go pull profiles from people who graduated from HBCUs? Can we pull profiles from people who have graduated from historically female colleges or colleges through the South? And really trying to find that set, and using my own network works pretty well also. So I try to make sure that we encourage everybody to leverage their networks, because that's how we get people that we like to work with. And that's how we start to create the inclusion also, because when you're bringing in people that you've worked with before or that you like and you know and who know you, they're going to feel more comfortable right out of the chute. And so it starts to create that inclusive environment right away, which, as I mentioned earlier, I actually think it should be IDE, inclusion, diversity, and equity. We really have to focus on that inclusion piece.
Yeah, I love that. Those were great. I mean, and simple things that people can do, spending time with the recruiters and giving them profiles and examples of profiles. I love that. I think that's great. And just being really inclusive at meetings. I think that that's a really great takeaway. So Ashwin, anything else on your mind?
No, so again, as you were talking about, if you've been 2 minutes, you can start giving back. Again, this goes back to one of my guests. He's 24 years old right now, Nicholas Werner. And he just posts all the time. And he just got a certification of something that he planned over the weekend. And this is how he did it. He posted that on LinkedIn. So in terms of mentorship, even, I mean, to your point about the younger generation, he does it. I mean, I was asking him, it's like, hey, what prompts you to do it? It's like, I want to do it, right? I mean, if one's, I'll send you his Medium article. He says, if one individual can benefit from what I have learned, that'll be success for me. I was saying, you're 24 years old. I mean, suddenly my respect and my hope and just the enthusiasm for this generation, I completely agree with you. I think they're doing a phenomenal job, right, in terms of where they are and how the thought process is. Again, yeah, I think this is fantastic. So again, thanks for time, Marnie, Lottie, amazing questions. And I think just the aspect of, like you said, I mean, the inclusion aspect, if that's something that organizations can understand, and it's not just a checkbox, and you just don't go by quota. It's what happens after they come in and how you can change the way you behave with them as well as your peers, right? So again, thanks for the great conversation.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is such a great conversation. And like you said, it's so important to continue that conversation. So I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, and you'll be back.
Thanks, Ashwin.
Thank you.
All right, Marnie, thank you so much. We enjoyed you today.
Thank you very much.